Hello, my name is Will Toy. Today is November 19th, 2023. This video is for the Psych 516 course for Dr. Anna Stevens in regards to the productive and counterproductive behaviors in the workplace assignment. So for the remainder of this video, I'm going to go over the 5 questions associated with the 5 chapters that are in that respective question. And I'm going to state the question and then the answer, and then move on to the next one. So, for chapter 1, how have recent historical events affected the course of research in organizational psychology? Give an example and the event and the resulting outcome. So, the overall event would be COVID-19. Basically, this forced organizations to adapt to lockdowns, work mandates, economic uncertainties, and concerns with overall employee well-being. So the outcome of research first with the sudden shift of remote work. So this increased focused on like the dynamics of virtual teams, the challenges that come with them, and the flexible work environment. And so this also is associated with job satisfaction and work-life balance. Second would be the employee well-being and mental health. Due to the increased stress and anxiety and overall health concerns with the pandemic, economic instability, and blurring work-life balances, PSYC began to research strategies to support employee well-being, mental health, and resilience. So, second to lastly, there's a fair amount of research on leadership and crisis management. So, overall, the pandemic highlighted the importance of leadership in crisis events. This is particularly prevalent in the pandemic, and so research explored leadership styles and that were most successful in managing remote work and to maintain morale and to navigate uncertain and rapidly changing circumstances. And then lastly, a lot of research was completed about technology use and burnout. So there was increased reliance of technology and blurred work-life balances, which overall resulted in technology burnout. And this is all the effect of the pandemic, of course. And so there was a fair amount of research exploring the impact of constant connectivity, virtual meeting fatigue, and the role of technology in shaping the work experience. So moving on, chapter 3, describe the socialization process for graduate students in the program. Is the program successful in socializing newcomers and creating job embeddedness? So in this particular example, I'm going to take the example of Liberty University. My degree is in IO. It's a master's degree in PSYC. And this is my first degree at Liberty University, where I started in the summer of 23. So I have otherwise no experience, and I was otherwise embedded or socialized in the summer of 23. So during this process, there was an informal socialization process during graduate training, and this was all done virtually. So the student often had to navigate through the early stages of this academia, and so they had to figure out how to navigate Canva. They would also have to figure out how to navigate the library and etc. And Liberty University has courses and programs built around this to help students engage and to the step-by-step process in order how to get through those programs. And so this is all done remotely, as I said before, so therefore it's flexible to the individual, which is a good plus for socialization. And then there are informal mentorship programs. So mentorship programs are typically seen as more senior leaders or more senior faculty members. And this is providing advice on teaching, research, and other aspects of the degree program. There's also other mentorship programs such as the Writing Center or any sort of tutoring program, but I mean informal, there is no for sure set in place mentorship program other than whatever the faculty member would be able to provide. And then lastly, there's research collaboration, opportunities to engage in research projects with our peers and faculty members, exposes these students to the collaborative nature of research and overall academia. And this helps the student manage expectations in regards to how if they were to enter into scholarly work or any sort of research, that would require collaboration overall. So overall, the end goal of socialization is job embeddedness. And in this case, students feel connected to the work and to the university, work being the degree requirements. Positive outcomes are associated with the successful socialization of higher levels of job satisfaction, student motivation, involvement in academic activities, and sense of embeddedness in the academic community. And I would say the program is good at socializing new students. However, this remains limited since student work is by and large an individual task. Collaboration on most projects are not encouraged whatsoever, and so the need to collaborate is not as much there unless it's like a discussion board or what have you. And then also the need to collaborate with peers is almost non-existent as well, unless it would be some group project or what have you. But there is the need to collaborate with your professors, who in a real world example will be like your boss or immediate supervisor. And so overall, I would say, given the circumstances, that Liberty University did a fine job at socialization, embedding the student into the work and providing as much satisfaction as it can. So Chapter 4, how can an organization reduce or prevent work-family conflict? So I provided a few examples here. First example I would provide is flexible work arrangements. Implementing flexible work schedules can definitely help employees meet their family needs, and flexible work arrangements could be part-time work, remote work, compressed work weeks such as 12-hour weeks or 12-hour days rather, and the next one would be family-friendly policies. This would include built-in benefits such as parental leave, childcare, elderly care. These policies can help employees manage demands without feeling overwhelmed by any sort of work responsibilities. And then next would be provide employee assistance programs. These would be in place. Typically, they're counseling or support programs dealing with personal issues or family issues. And on a personal note, I've seen the benefit of these EAPs. One of my coworkers unexpectedly died in a car accident while she was, going from one office to another, and HR pulled us all in a room and told us what happened. And some employees needed counseling services in those times, and it's also one of those things where if you don't know you need it until you need it, and so it's better to have these programs already in place. Next, I would have a supporting organizational culture. This would foster a good work-life imbalance. This would be encouraged to the managers and leaders of the organization to encourage their employees that a work-life balance is needed and required. And this overall would create an environment where employees feel comfortable discussing their needs and also not completing a project in a compressed timeline, which otherwise would require less work-life balance. Next, I would provide a training education, overall training education on time management, stress management, work-life balance, and then equipping employees to manage their time effectively in reducing conflicts. So I feel overall it's important for organizations to recognize the work-family conflict and to address that it is complex and is an individualized issue. So tailoring strategies for the organization is needed, and that'd be part of my role. And additionally, regularly assessing the impact of implementing policies and making adjustments as needed. So next, chapter 5. Imagine you've been asked to develop a performance assessment program for employee development. What techniques could you use to adequately evaluate employee performance as comprehensively as possible? So I provided 7 overall. The first would be task-oriented behaviors. This would be an in-role performance. I would do key performance indicators, KPIs. I would define what the KPIs are within the aligned job. And then I would provide a measurement of completing that KPI. For example, project milestones, sales targets, or any objective quantifiable outputs. Next, I would put interpersonally oriented behaviors. This would be in-role and extra-role performance. This would be a 360 feedback. I would collect feedback from peers, supervisors, subordinates, to evaluate interpersonal skills, communication, and collaboration. This is very important, especially if you're in a collaborative role, working with other departments. You need to be able to be worked with. Next, I would have downtime. This would be extra-role performance. So overall attendance records, I would track attendance. I would identify records of absenteeism, tardiness, and this may indicate overall downtime affecting overall performance. Next would be destructive hazardous behaviors. This would be extra role performance. This would just be overall safety. This would be more pertinent to a position that is more hazardous, not an office environment that would otherwise you would have to consider, such as OSHA or anything like that. So just it would be tracking adherence to safety protocols, insurance compliance, and relevant regulations. Next, self-assessment, employee self-assessment evaluations. Just want to know how the employee feels they are doing in their position. Provides you a understanding of where they're coming from and how they're doing. For example, if you feel they're doing great, but they don't feel they're doing great, praise is needed, especially within the evaluation. However, vice versa, something may need to be addressed. Managerial assessment. In this case, managers will assess the employees based on their observed performance, focusing both on task-oriented interpersonal behaviors. This can include regular check-ins, performance reviews, and meetings. This would be one-on-ones, typically once a month or once a quarter, whatever the desired whatever is, on top of the weekly check-ins as needed. Finally, it would be training and development assessments. These would be skill assessments and evaluate the employee's technical and soft skills through relevant skills through their roles, and then it would identify additional training or development that may be needed. This would also identify if they're ready for a more senior promotion or not, and these would be done on an as-needed basis in order to see if they're ready for promotion. And then overall for this particular section, obviously these be weighted appropriately for the individual job that they're completing, and that would be that. Next, chapter 6. What are some possible common organizational constraints? How can they lead to counterproductive behaviors? So for this particular one, I'm going to provide scenarios and counterproductive measures because they can all develop differently. So inadequate resources in this particular example, insufficient resources such as technology, equipment, and staffing to meet demand of the job. So counterproductive behaviors would be employees engage in behaviors to delay the timeline even more, such as work slowdowns or purposeful delays. And so the intentional mistakes as a protest of frustration due to lack of resources. Next would be unclear expectations. In this example, employees are unclear about their roles, responsibilities, or performance expectations, leading to confusion and ambiguity. So without clear guidelines, employees may have avoidance behaviors, neglecting their duties, or even sabotage due to frustration. Overall, um, it would just be frustration due to a lack of direction. Next would be poor leadership. The scenario is ineffective and autocratic leadership styles, lack of communication, or inconsistent management practices. So employees may not even listen to leadership or react poorly to any sort of direction from leadership, and this will lead to ultimately gossiping, resistance to change, and just overall defiance. Next is limited opportunities for career growth. Scenario: employees perceive a lack of opportunities for career advancement, skill development, or promotion within the organization. Counterproductive behaviors would be frustrated employees engage in behaviors such as decreased effort, absenteeism, or even they seek opportunities outside the organization. And this would lead to overall turnover and a drain out in the organization. Next would be unfair compensation. Scenario: employees perceive that compensation is not fair in comparison to the industry standards or colleagues in similar roles. So discontented employees may engage in theft, fraud, shrink, etc. In the organization, and the company may receive damages also. And in the employee's eyes, it may be viewed as equalization. So not very good. And then last two are poor work-life balance. Scenario: excessive workload, unrealistic expectations, or lack of flexibility in work schedules. So employees experiencing burnout may increase absenteeism or pre-absenteeism, especially physically present but not productive. And so, and they may also engage in substance abuse as a coping mechanism. And the last one would be effective communication. Scenario: communication breakdowns, lack of transparency, or misinformation within the organization. And so this would be counterproductive rumors, engage in gossip, or actively resistance due to perceived lack of information or trust in the organization. So that concludes my 5-question chapter reviews. Again, my name is Will Toy. This is for the productive and counterproductive behaviors in the workplace assignment for Psych 516 for Dr. Anna Stevens. Thank you.